she'll, you know, you don't have to have 24-hour or anything.
Yeah.
You just, but she was the,
We're gonna
she
be
took,
going to O'Fallon
yeah?
for a graduation on
And-
the second Sunday in May.
Oh, nice. So from what school?
Christian High School
Mm-hmm,
on
nice.
the north part of O'Fallon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
and
Nice.
anyway, and then 5 days later, we've got to go to Denver for another grandson's graduation. But that's
Yeah,
all right.
jet setting.
All right, guys, it is 6 o'clock, so if you're ready, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can we get a quick roll call?
Sure. Grady Bonzel.
Here.
Dennis Needham. Matt McKenzie.
Here.
Mary Ellen Coomer.
Here?
And Wally Henson.
Here.
All right, very good. Any public comment? Appears to be none. Moving on to point 3, adult entertainment establishments. So, looks like there's some discussion items and there's a lot of stuff in the packet, so.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the second page, I don't know why this didn't copy. I need to copy the second page. So
Oh, I have two
There's,
pages. I have two pages.
on the back. Is that it?
that is part of it, but there's a.
There's
There
more.
should be 3 pages.
Oh, there should be 3? Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to just print it off real quick?
Yeah, that's fine. So this first topic, if I can introduce it, Matt,
Sure.
is adult entertainment establishments. And we had a applicant approach Zach in City Hall about using part of their floor area for business that would be for the sale of sex toys or adult material. When we looked up in the code, what we currently have in the code is kind of interesting because we have the definition, and we both had your communication form included in the packet. And then I contacted Barb, with Community Matters, who helped us for several months, and she's been in planning for decades. Write up a memo for us as well. And I'm going to go over what Barb has included on her memo. The definitions contain rules about including how much of an adult use is allowed, which really shouldn't be in the definitions. It should be in the actual rule part. We've gone over that. But then in the use table, it specifies that an adult entertainment facility in item C of that use table states adult entertainment establishments are hereby prohibited in all zoning districts within the city of Goodland and the unincorporated planning area, and no building, structure, premises, or land shall be used, constructed, reconstructed, altered, or expanded as or for an adult entertainment establishment. Well, and then the next section of Barb's memo and what we included was the section in definitions, which includes kind of describing different areas of adult entertainment establishment and whether it includes, and most of it, I don't know where they got this 30% that was so important, but 30% or more of its gross receipts is dedicated to adult entertainment, or 30% or more of its floor area.
Is this their first store that they've opened, or is this like a
They've had stores
multi-location?
they've had stores in other, they have 3 other locations in Kansas. I don't, as far as their business right now, which is vaping and other smoke products. And they moved into the business in between Arby's and Subway, the old Conoco station. The thing is that it goes through this regarding the 30%, but then it says that it's prohibited. And the problem with that is that according to a municipal court case, you can't do that. which is at the bottom of the page 2 of Barb's memo. Under Kansas state statutes, adult uses must be allowed in at least one municipal zone district. Now, you can do other things to make it difficult, but you can't prohibit it outright.
Right.
Even 20-some years ago, when that zoning code was established, I was working in another community in Kansas at the time, and I was told by the planner, no, you can't prohibit it, because the same type of question came up. So I don't know why it's prohibited in the current zoning code. So our questions for the commission is, how do you want to proceed? And Barb provides a couple different options, both for the definitions part of it, and then for the page that was just included, although it's page 3 of 3, not page 2 of 2 on the one, about which zone district. And do you include other rules for that? Either distance limitations or, Mary Ellen, you sent something from the city of Newton. There's other examples of other Kansas cities that, do licensing or different types of things to make it the barrier a little bit higher in order to do it.
Well, I think the reason Newton's example helped me is there on an interstate as well. And see, that's the thing. I mean, I remember when we first moved here, there was that video rental store with the back room, and that's where their icky stuff was. And that was on Main Street. And so, and
That was on Main Street,
it was.
not on K-27.
It was on Main Street, actually where our old shop was.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
yeah.
Till you brought it up.
And yeah, that's just like 25 years ago. And so, which is fine, but the thing with being on an interstate, I think the barrier needs to be so much higher, because you get involved, your demographic on the highway. I mean, we're from the St. Louis area, and you know how many gentlemen's clubs are up and down central Missouri on I-70, everywhere, constant, big billboards, everything. And so, in this day and age, to me, it's even more dangerous because of the trafficking issue.
Yeah.
That can of worms can open up. It's already going on enough. But then if we're a watering hole and honestly, people can do what they want, but when it comes to trafficking, that's a whole nother level. It's just me, and it's probably has nothing to do with zoning. But going back to the Newt example, that really kind of helped me with my thoughts. I was glad to see that what some of the suggestions are what I saw there, but they license out the wazoo. $2,500 a year for the owner. They have, it's like a food service license in a way, where your inspector can just pop in any time to make sure you're complying. Every single employee has to be licensed to work there, and all these licenses are renewable every single year. So $2,500 for the business plus $250 apiece for each employee every year. That's and plus they each have to fill out their applications all the time. So if you've got some if you have a lot of rotating employment, which seems to happen in fast food and stuff right now, every time you lose an employee and you want to hire someone else, you have to go through that whole licensing process for that employee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that maybe that's too heavy-handed, but I think about Newton, what they're, being on the interstate as well, a big north-south road. So I don't know if that's something, and plus they have, the distance regulations and things like that. So,
Yeah, I guess as I've thought through it, so, by law, we can't say absolutely not. So we have
Right.
to find an avenue so that we're not in violation of what the Supreme Court ruled. And it is,
exactly.
people do have First Amendment constitutional rights.
They do.
So whether we like it or not, it's not our job to infringe on other people's rights. So I think we have to find an avenue.
Exactly.
I sort of look at it a little differently on the I-70 corridor is I don't want it on the main street.
I don't want it on
So
Main Street
I would
either,
rather have it,
but there's more accountability
yeah,
on Main Street.
the one idea of having it further out in a, if we go with the commercial is where we're gonna have it and we sort of put some conditional uses around it, it's not likely that young kids are gonna find their way to that part of town without an adult.
Right.
So they're gonna be out there, but probably with their parents. They're not just gonna walk out there
Well,
versus
yeah,
Main Street, the kids are right there all the time. So,
they are.
that's one thing. I look at it like, okay, how do we protect our community, our kids, shelter them a little from it if we can? It would have to, for me, it would have to be further away from places they could easily find themselves. So, I think the distance thing is important, and realize
I agree with you.
there's a church, your church is out that direction, so,
But it's more
but
than 1,000
it's
feet.
further away, but there's no
More
other
of
school
opportunity.
things, there's no,
Right.
it's just commercial business right there, really. And I like the idea of some licensing requirements, there has to be some hurdle, I think, for, if you wanna do it, great, but it's gonna require some extra oversight, maybe.
There's, there's two things to address, and we're just asking for input, and then staff can bring back something
Mhm.
for some serious consideration regarding the commission. And we're gonna present this as well at the city commission, just to get a little feedback, so that if we do have an ordinance that's a text amendment, the planning commission, you guys recommend it for approval, and then the city commission actually approves it.
Right.
So I'd rather get a little feedback from them
Mhm.
to start, rather than have you guys pass something and then the city commission says no right off the bat. They could still say no. I don't want to prevent
Of
their
course.
choice, but it'd be good to get a little more feedback from them. But there's two things to address. One is the definitions,
Mhm.
and one is where does the use occur and what restrictions should we want on it. And Barb kind of put that on the first page 202. Regarding the definitions, you have option one. If you're gonna disallow all types of adult entertainment except in one district as required by state statute, use a simple definition. Adult entertainment establishment. Or, if you're gonna allow an adult bookstore, novelty store, or video store, use this definition that mirrors the definition currently in the code, but limits the type establishment. So, because it covers it's almost like from A to Z, different type, what does the establishment actually do that qualifies for the adult establishment? There's like
Right.
a spectrum of stuff. So, I don't know if one of those options makes more sense to you all or not.
We don't know where the 30% they came up with that today. There's no statute or law or precedent on the
Nothing
books
that
that
we've
would.
come across. I don't know if Zach did or not.
Yeah.
So what worries me about going that way is that's something to me that could be challengeable in a court. And I'm not trying to get ourselves in that situation.
Right, and that's what, yeah, and that's kind of what, yeah.
If we pull an arbitrary number
Right.
Versus, and the other step we've been trying to do in these definitions in our revisions is simplicity.
Right.
So I lean more a little towards option one because it's simple and we don't paint ourselves into a number that no one can explain where it came from.
Right.
Right.
Plus, then we create a job for Zach to go look at their books or whatever and determine, somebody's got to enforce that 30%, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or trust their
Could you do
accounting
like
or
a
whatever.
hybrid and add limited use to a controlled portion of the establishment, like back room kind of thing? And put that with option one? I don't know.
The way I look at it is we need to break down definitions to where it's not all grouped into one thing. That way we can keep what we don't want out of and make it extremely difficult to get, to use, or the other way, where it's not so difficult to do one thing or another this way.
For who, you? I don't mean it, that came out really horrible. I didn't mean that, like,
No, I'm just,
that, like, but
I'm
I
just
mean,
thinking
for
it's not
them
fair to,
comply.
it's not fair to other businesses to be told they can't sell something when something like Walmart's already selling it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the part regarding definitions, but I don't even know if that's the first question. When I think about it, it's more the second question. Do we limit it to one zone, which is on the page 3, and do we do a conditional use?
The nice thing about that, limiting to one zone with the conditional use requires a conversation anytime somebody wants to do something. So they have to come here and present it. And then we can consider it and approve it or deny it.
I agree with you.
So I like that because we're not saying no just on paper. We're saying come talk to us. And then based on the stipulations and what they want to do and what we want to agree to, then we can say yes or no. So I like the conditional use for that.
The hard part, and this is a map from the side, where they're talking about is in the green. And the one thing about our zoning is the same for K-27 area and Highway 24 as it is for 17th Street, the very south end of Main Street, and then up by Casey's and up that part of Caldwell. It's all the same zone district. So if there's a conditional use, it can be much more difficult to get an application approved for areas where you wouldn't see it.
If it was a conditional use, they would have to come here, and if they said, we want to do something on 17th and Main, we could say, no, you cannot do it there, but you could do it at the I-70 interchange.
Right.
We could interject on their location based on the conditional use.
And that's a big part of where like distance limitations, those kinds of things come into play.
Where you often see where put 500 feet from a school, a park, a church. And our Main Street, it's not that far to Chambers Park or to,
Central, Gulick.
Church. If we were to turn it down, is this outfit gonna go to the county to try and get something going? I mean, within the county, but not within the city. I'm in favor of turning it down, but that's the way it goes.
well, they haven't applied anything yet. They've just talked with staff about it, so there's no formal
Right.
yes or no for you at this point. And they could take their business to a county property, and then there's no zoning in that county. That's,
In statute does not allow us to totally prevent it though, Wally. We have to, by ruling of the Kansas Supreme Court, we have to at least consider a conditional use.
No, it bugs me too.
And then you can still say no.
Yeah, we
But-
can't have our code say absolutely not like it does today.
Right.
We have to at least allow them to apply.
And then, but what do you think of that, Grady, I guess? I haven't heard anything from you.
Well, I'm not in favor of it for sure. I agree with you about the trafficking issues and then our kids. And then I'm thinking, okay, let's say we do have conditional, then we got signage to deal with. I mean, is this something we want, hey, welcome to Goodland, blah, blah, that's another topic we'll have to discuss.
I think
If
that's
something happens.
probably part of the conditional use though too, is we can have discussion around what kind of signage they can have and.
And then that could be part of the limitations onto the business as well, is that there can't be any giant billboards sitting on top of the
Right.
building or anything like that.
Barb put in her memo that
Right,
one of the restrictions you can have is no outside indication of use.
right,
So it could be no signage.
right.
But I don't know, I would have to check with legal regarding that to
Yeah,
make sure. But you can, as far as the size of signs and other types of things, a lot of times it's hard to prohibit content.
I say we ought to make the distance as far as we can. One of the things it did talk about in the Newton code is distance from the interchange. That you can't be within a certain number of feet between, right there. And, but I don't think with that location, it would, I think it still would be far enough for, where'd my internet go? Far enough.
Josh has it up on the screen there.
Oh. While I'm looking at the Newton,
Sure.
here.
That
Just a check.
last paragraph that Barb has in there too about what Blackhawk and Manitou Springs did, they've got a distance requirement from a residential zone, 750 feet from a residential zone. That would completely eliminate 17th Street
Right,
And Caldwell.
and Caldwell.
exactly.
So, that seems like not a bad idea. And then they included bike trails, public libraries, daycare facilities. I mean, they put a lot of restrictions in, so that pretty much pushes it as far toward the edge of the city limits as you could get.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, can we expand it beyond 750 feet?
That's what I was
You
like,
say a mile and a half.
12,000.
I think we probably gotta talk to Jake.
Yeah, and what the
You know
limit
what I'm
would be
saying?
on that, because
Yeah.
So
I know,
I did a little bit of
I-
measuring, and
Oh.
at 1,000 feet, it pretty much takes all of everything in town commercial off the books, and only leaves those little parcels out there by the side. You're like 1,500 feet away from the ball fields, and then even if you went to Steak and Shake and say somebody bought that, you would still be just barely out of range from that church. So the 1,000 feet would be limiting them to really only 2 parcels at that point.
Well, up and down the K-27 corridor, yeah. And
I
maybe
do know
some
the
probably
Newton one
24.
had said you can't even be within however many feet, they say, of a bar. Can't be that close to a bar, and there's a lot of things like that I'm like, whoa. But, where, even like Mom's Kitchen serves beer to be consumed there. So, I personally am in favor of pushing the envelope on restrictions as far as we can, as the Supreme Court
That's what I
and the
think
law
too.
That's where I'm
allows,
at.
I would say
including licensing.
definition wise, go with the simple one, and then update to section 19502. We could pick commercial with conditional review, and then we put in all of these restrictions up to what the lawyers are comfortable with. So a distance requirement, a licensing requirement, no outside indication of use, all of those things that are listed there to the max of what we can, to the max of what the law is going to allow.
Okay. I think that gives us enough direction at this point to come back with something for you
Okay.
to look at. Unless you have any additional instructions for staff.
Well, it's not an easy one.
It's not.
None of us are comfortable having a conversation, but the fact is, people also have constitutional rights that we need to be
Absolutely.
aware of too. So I want to do what's right under the law, but I also want to protect our little town
I
as best we
know, I
can.
mean, it's like, what's the first impression of our little, I mean, I love Goodland. It's just the best place. Everybody that comes and visits and has kids, the kids all want to move here, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, so the first impression is gonna be girls, girls, girls. And that's what we don't want.
Okay.
Well, I think you bring up a good point about the ball fields being out there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's not too far from their location there, so,
No.
you know, and it's right off the interstate. I mean, we're asking for trouble, it seems like to me. It's just,
I agree.
yeah, I'm with you.
And I want the truck drivers
Right.
and different people that go up and down Sunday to stop in Goodland and spend money.
Right.
And increase our tax base, but
Yeah, not at a cost.
no, there, you know,
I think we're a small town, we have integrity, people care for each other, good community, and we don't wanna do anything to jeopardize that, you know, so.
Okay. All right.
We'll
We'll
go on.
look forward to what you have
yeah.
Sure.
in the
that'll be-
future. Okay, moving on. Number 4, proposed ordinance to add plat amendment and plat correction procedures to subdivision regulations. Kent or Zach? Who's got that lead?
This is an ordinance, and actually it would be ordinance number 1794. An ordinance adopting and amending, this is the sections of the City of Goodland Municipal Code to add a plat amendment and a plat correction process. And to add a couple additional sections to allow that to occur. We went over this at our last meeting, and staff said we would bring it back in ordinance form for you if it's appropriate. Need the commission to set a public hearing date, which would be at the next meeting on February 11th, I believe. And then we will get it published and get it set.
You said it's 17, ordinance 1794 is what it would be?
Yes.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions about what was in the packet on that one? I had to kind of remind myself that we haven't met, we didn't meet in December, so.
We didn't meet in December,
Yeah.
so it was 2 months.
Yeah, it took a little while to remind myself what went on, but I guess I didn't have anything that would raise a question. Anybody else see anything in there?
The plat amendment is to allow, basically, so it could be one phase, just a final plat process, and then that's basically to allow, you know, a lot split, or something. Not a big old process to be done, and hopefully get it done a lot quicker for people to do. The plat correction is if there's a mistake or a error or omission on a plat that's filed, then it can be just an administrative process to get it corrected. Or just check, you know, have it presented to you guys and just say, yeah, go ahead and get the plat correction done. But it can be just an administrative process to get it corrected.
Okay.
Yep. Simple is good.
You got any questions on that?
No.
All right, so I move that we set a public hearing for February 11th for ordinance 1794, proposed ordinance to add plat amendment and plat correction procedures subdivision regulations.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Matt, seconded by Mary Ellen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Very good. We will talk about that next time. Okay, number 5, storage container discussions. Thanks for putting this up because it is, they're popping up like weeds. Holy cow.
The commissioners, you all had brought this up at the end of the last meeting about storage containers, and then it became, well, there wasn't much more, didn't know whether you wanted additional discussion, if there was any additional. Did you want staff to investigate or present to you additional rules or guidelines for storage containers?
I don't know. This just seems like we've had a huge influx. You know, that property at 16th and wherever, Kansas roughly, is pretty well filled out. The property on Main Street has at least doubled what they had on their lot.
Kendall?
Yeah. So, I think you mentioned last time, Zach, I mean, they're not doing anything that's not permitted today, right?
Nope.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I guess it is what it is, right?
I just wish they weren't on Main,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You can get a grant and put murals on it.
You know,
Well-
Zach had one suggestion about that they have to be, provide a little bit of skin, sometimes what you do regarding certain properties, as far as construction guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be just the plain storage container. That's one possibility. Another possibility is, again, we have enough at this point, you would think. But they must be renting them to
I was gonna say,
certain people.
Apparently the market's not saturated. And it's not just us. I just saw on a Facebook Marketplace ad for the same thing in St. Francis. So every community around, this is the way to get storage, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Probably coming out of the COVID supply chain issues, I think there's a lot of containers available all of a sudden. So,
It's a cheaper way to get storage built quickly.
Yeah.
The problem is, okay, 5 years down the road, is it still gonna look decent enough that it's not gonna cause a problem?
I think a couple of things to consider is, you know, I think I mentioned this last time, is we can set up a requirement where it has to be attached. So, let's say a tornado comes in, it's not gonna be blown away or whatever.
blown away.
I mean, it's just like a mobile home or something, right? It's gotta be
Tied
has
down.
some tied down or
Like
something.
to a foundation or something.
Exactly. And then if we can set a condition where there's some uniformity, if you will, as far as the way it looks. You know, it's kind of like our homes. You can't just have, well, I guess we've had it, but, you know, different colored shingles on a roof. I mean, we want something that's standard, you know, something that's,
Yeah.
it makes it look, I mean, it doesn't look bad if they take care of it, like out there where the old bowling alley is. I think he's doing a good job there. It doesn't look too bad.
So far, everybody that's put them in has put nice looking containers that are
Right.
all the same color. And
Right.
so I'm with you, Grady. I think we need to have some sort of rule or requirement around the physical appearance of them because there are going to be ones on the market that are much more beat up
Right.
that I don't know that we want just showing up.
The other thing that I think could become an issue is the setbacks issue
So,
Mm-hmm.
at the corners.
Mm.
Because even though you can see, it provides a solid screen. The ones on 16th and Kansas, you gotta be slow approaching that intersection in order to see past the storage containers. Wouldn't you agree, Zach? And So if you're going normal speed or faster, it will be too late to make an adjustment if suddenly there's somebody coming from on the other street. I think that's one, and also the ones up on Caldwell, there was a comment or two made. It's set back pretty good distance, but that is one comment that's made by people is the sight limitations caused by it.
And that's a main thoroughfare as well.
Yeah,
More
and
than
that,
16.
yeah, there's, they consider, what is it, it's on Sixth? It's on Fifth.
6.
Yeah, it is six.
Zach
It's
puts
six.
at Fifth.
I live on.
7.
It's six.
Yeah, where those storage containers are at, so, that is just a possibility for another.
So, suppose like, but is everything that's there now grandfathered in ahead of this?
Correct.
Okay. So it would just be apply to any future,
Correct. Or, yeah, we could ask legal about that.
especially
it's just
like the
moving a little
corner
bit.
ones, I mean, the sight distance problem ones,
That's just an issue that's been brought up.
yeah.
That's all.
Well, I do think we need to come up with at least some guidelines on what to do, because it appears it's popular. I'm not sure it's gonna slow down, and I wanna make sure that we at least have some parameters around what we're good with, so that this thing just doesn't get to be an eyesore.
Mhm.
Well, and will that be a problem if, let's say, people build homes and stuff out of it? Is that
Yeah.
legit?
Yeah, we talked about that with ADUs,
Yeah.
and that's a popular thing to do too.
Right,
is use it
exactly,
for that,
right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
I know the fire station, they got something built up there by the airport there for a training
The
facility.
training, yeah.
I mean, it looks good, but it's just don't want people just willy-nilly and like, oh man.
Okay,
We will bring back something.
sounds good. All right, moving on to reports. Grady, anything to report?
No.
Mary Ellen?
Nope.
Wally?
Well, I have a question. Where are we as far as property at 10th and Kansas, among others? There was a really dilapidated property that I think Rod Cooper bought it and tore it completely down, and that's over on about, you know where I'm talking about?
16th
It's
and
about
Colorado.
16th
Yeah.
Street.
Syracuse or something?
Yeah.
Colorado.
Colorado, yeah.
Right. But what do we wanna propose or do, or on that property at 10th and Kansas? It's an eyesore, to say the least.
It's on the list, and Zach has a list of a number of properties in town.
The owner was trying to sell it to somebody at the end of the year. I don't believe that went through, so they're on the top of the list this year for demos.
We have more properties to demo than we have funds, so, but, we try to work through them as best we can. But the one in 10th and Kansas at the southwest corner is on the list. And it's one of the higher priority ones. So. But we don't run out of a supply of them in this town, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so would the same standards apply to storage containers then as houses in the sense of eyesoreness?
Well, the definition of dilapidation, if a storage container had holes or
Okay,
other major defects in it,
okay,
then it could qualify,
but not just being
not just appearance.
being
No,
a rusty beat up mess.
no.
No, and I think we put something in our design standards for like manufactured modular homes, which that would technically fall under that category. That would make them have to have a skin on the outside of it.
Okay.
Okay. Carrying on with reports, Kent?
Now, one thing I wanted to mention was, and that I don't know if I mentioned, or we talked about it briefly, but I didn't, would you want the school district, to come present to you regarding the school
Yes.
and the, traffic pattern around it?
With
What they're
their
thinking about.
technology building expansion, yes. I think that would be good.
Okay, we
Yeah,
will
see.
schedule that, didn't wanna schedule it for this meeting, but we'll schedule it for the,
Future. Great.
one of the next 2 meetings. That was the only thing.
Zach, anything? Okay. Nothing from me. I guess I skipped myself. I didn't have anything anyway. Minutes from November. Everybody have a chance to look at that in your packet. Anybody see any additions, corrections, amendments? Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for December.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Grady, seconded by Wally. All in favor, aye?
For November, not
For November.
Oh,
yes.
November, I'm sorry.
For November,
yeah.
yes. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries. All right, motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn today's meeting.
I second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.